Hello, this is Bill Lupton. Thank you for joining me on this video demonstration. The aim of this really is just to show how I paint people quite simply. These are people in action, and this is video number 2 of the series, so why not seek out the others? I'm starting this video with a number of fishermen. As you can see, this gentleman's got a cap on and appears to be sitting down. I'll use some colour later, but I normally start with quite a pale colour, so if I change my mind I can dab a bit out and then I can add colour and let it run into the wet paint. I do appreciate that watercolour paper is quite expensive, so when I'm practicing like this I'll mark a grid and maybe get 10 or 12 people on one sheet. But a good idea is if you're not happy with one of your paintings, then paint some people on the back just for practice. Well, you can see the gentleman's got quite a long green coat and big wellies on. What I want to do now is add some darks in there just to define the hairline. Well, quite a quick sketch, got some detail in there as well, which is quite nice. Let's move on to the next person. Again, I've started with the head and some quite pale colour. I will add colours to this later. This gentleman I think is going to be standing up. And not only is he standing up, he's leaning back, which means he's fighting maybe against a fish that he's catching. And because the outline was painted in pale paint, I can now add some depth and colour and a little bit of detail in there. Well, there's the fisherman standing up. The rod's a little bit thick, but it's okay for practice. Well, this gentleman's got a long peak on his cap, also what appears to be like a hoodie that he's wearing, just in case the weather changes and he needs to put his hood up. And again, I'll paint him standing up, I think. Again, that's the main shape done in lighter colours, so I shall start to add the darks again now. There's the cap going in, and then I shall add some colour to the clothing. I think a khaki green colour looks good, probably looks more like a waterproof now, and maybe a burgundy coloured bottom and some big thick Wellington boots. Well, nobody's caught anything so far, so maybe it does happen occasionally, so we'll paint somebody who's caught a fish. I'm bending the rod over quite a lot because I'm going to paint quite a large fish on the end. Why not? Let's give him some enjoyment. And now back to the fisherman before the initial layer of paint is dry, and start adding a little bit more detail. And something totally different now, let's do a gymnast. Well, I've started again with a bright colour, but as you can see, the right hand leg, as I see it, is a lot smaller, shorter than the left hand leg, so I need to increase the size of that before I do anything else. I've decided to use quite a strong red now for the body, but I'm going to paint the arms, and I need to remember that the head's got to go in there somewhere, so I'll leave a space for it. And now I need to use some dark paint just to define a little detail, the hairline and a few shadows. Well, just a little bit more detail and we're just about done. Well, here we go with the next gymnast. Completely different pose, different position altogether, and it's unusual for me to start by painting the legs and then I'll add the body and etc. later. Well, that indication of hands tells me really where I need the bodysuit to be painted in. So here we go, let's paint in the bodysuit. Quite a large stretch there, and here's the torso coming round to join the legs. And finally, as normal, a little dark paint just to finish off. I must say I quite like the feel of that one. She does appear as if she's really moving forward. Well, here we go again, just painting ahead, the hands and the legs in place, and then I'll worry about the body later. What a strange place to put a leg, but remember this is a gymnast and I think the splits are in order here. I do quite like this method of not worrying about the arms and the torso until the last minute, because it almost tells you where you need to put it. Well, almost right. Sometimes when you practice, the head doesn't look completely correct, but it's all practice. Well, I'd like to first of all paint a golfer that's just hit a ball, so I need to think about the stand and the swing, and also the flight of the ball. I must tell you that this isn't the first time I attempted this particular sketch, but it is good practice. I did do about 3 or 4 to achieve something that looked like I wanted it to, but it does give us some idea as to how the body stands when moving. I don't know why, but that's where I've decided to put the ball, and just using a bit of wet paint and pulling it away, it does give it flight. And now, as always, a little bit of dark paint just to finish off with a small amount of detail, but not too much, because again it's just a shape that we're trying to create that looks like a golfer hitting a ball, and I think it does. Well, this is the final practice sketch on this particular recording. Don't forget there are a couple of others with people in action, and why not have a look? Different sports, but very similar technique. So here we go with the final golfer. I started with the hairline and the torso again on this person, but when I was doing the gymnasts, I prefer starting with the hands and the legs, because then it gives you more idea as to where the torso might be. But this way round, I think it's important to get the golf swing properly in the torso before we add the legs. But different techniques come with different results, so why not have a practice? Because I've painted the legs and the torso and the head, it gives me a feel for where the club's going to be. So I'm putting that in next, and then I'll worry about the arms and where they reach out for the club. Well, I think that looks about right, so the shape's there, and I can start to add a little more detail now, maybe some nice colours. To be quite honest, I'm rather happy with the shape that I've created there. You don't really need to add these darks, but it just gives a little bit of practice with shadow and light. Well, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed that quick demonstration of how I paint people in a simple way in action. I have got other videos on YouTube, so why not take a look, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.